Well, hello, this is Chaz from Classic Komodo, and welcome back to Whatchamacallit, a series full of what's up, what's changing, and what's new. So, now what? Today we're going to be talking about the vehicles in Battlefield 4 and how they might change. So, let's start with customization. The main driver in Battlefield 4 is going to be determining the loadout of the entire vehicle. For example, if you jump into a helicopter, the pilot or whoever's jumping into the pilot seat will also choose what the co-pilot would use. If the pilot in the customization screen said, okay, well, I want, the heat seekers and, the rocket pods, I'd say, and the co-pilot, I want to have the zoom and the TV missile. Well, the main driver would be able to choose that. That way, if you're jumping in and some noob is jumping in with you, he now has TV missiles that he could play with and hopefully want to earn for when he becomes a pilot. It would kind of deter from the problem that we had in Battlefield 3. For example, when you jump into a tank or anything like that, you would jump in, you'd have reactive armor, and then the guy would jump in with you as the gunner, and he has reactive armor. It's not stacking, it's not helping you at all, so it became kind of pointless. Unless you had a buddy that knew that you were running reactive armor, and he would run, let's say, proximity, and, y'all would have the perfect duo. Well, you couldn't have that 99% of the time unless you're in a squad with the people that you know. Other than that, you kind of out of luck. Well, in Battlefield 4, they're trying to fix that so that when you jump in, now you've had your vehicle set up. And if anybody wants to join in with you, they can, but they are jumping into your vehicle, not theirs with their perks and stuff like that. So hopefully that will help with the entirety and make the entirety of the vehicle a little bit more potent. I think it's a good use. I think what they need to add too is to make the vehicle, let's say, private. So let's say when you jump in the vehicle, some random blueberry or some random guy that you don't know jumps in the vehicle with you, and you stand at spawn in your helicopter bouncing up and down hoping that this guy jumps out. That's always a big problem. So that'd be pretty neat if you could have it so that you could set it so only your squad can enter that vehicle, or only your friends can enter that vehicle. That way it would be able to kind of put a lock on the door instead of letting, hey everybody, the door's been open. So that's some things I could kind of go for. Another good thing that I like is when at the alpha during E3 they showed that when you shot a tank, you had an indicator, kind of like when you get a assist or suppression assist, or when you get a kill in the bottom center of the screen. When you shoot a rocket or if you damage a vehicle, it shows in the center of the screen how much damage you did to that vehicle. So they showed an instance where he shot a rocket at the side and he did 22 damage. That's amazing. You know how much damage you're doing. Players will get a better indication of, okay, well, the side isn't doing as much damage as the flank is. I like also how for tanks, for instance, if you shoot a tank on the side, or if you keep shooting a tank in the front and the side, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to keep going until, eventually blows up, but it won't get disabled. Well, as far as in the alpha, that's what was going on. The only time it was getting disabled is if you hit it right in the butt, and that's changes the game. That makes it so that more tank drivers going to be more aware of their flank, keep them more protected so that they can't get disabled and they can keep on trucking. It's a big step. Another thing with tanks is the fact that the ammunition has changed. So for instance, you're not going to have limited ammo, but you're only going to have 6 shells loaded in your gun, or loaded in the main cannon. And once you fire those 6 rounds that, will be fired just like the old tanks, after those you would have to wait 10 seconds or so in order to get all your shells back in. That's nuts, because now there's this new metagame that you have to play, so that after you fire your 6th round, you have to go in hiding for 10 seconds, or if you know that you've counted all the shots that the other guy had, you got 10 seconds to wreck house on that guy. So it changes the game big time if they keep it in. I think it's a good addition to it, because it changes it from the whole like spamming the left trigger on your controller in order to only until, you know, you destroyed them. I think it adds a new level of kind of challenge to it, and I think that's a big plus that they did. Another thing is small arms fire does damage. They showed in an instance where the helicopter was, you know, shooting at the infantry while they ran into the building. Well, he turned around and he shot. And they did that on purpose, not just for some, you know, cinematic effect. They did it so that they showed you that a hit marker was shown on the vehicle. The fact that he shot the vehicle with small arms, you know, a rifle, and he got a hit marker, showing that he might be not be doing. Oh, he might be doing 1% damage after 5 bullets, but he's doing damage. This could create a new level of buffs for support players. Support players might be able to do more damage to vehicles and you know, with their LMGs, and helicopters won't be able to, you know, fly in and just spray away if they see a bunch of medics. Medics, if they team up, they might be able to do a chunk of damage to this helicopter. So I think that's a good big plus. You know, to add to the difficulty. I think adding small things like this to help make the game more challenging will inevitably challenge players to make them more skilled, and it will make things more fun. I don't think that making things easier is necessarily better, so I think these challenges will add to the effectiveness of the game in Battlefield 4. The driving also will be a little bit more difficult, they said. I think that's a good thing too, because of the fact that you're flying a helicopter in Battlefield 3, and all of a sudden you're like, oh well, there's a rocket coming, better hit the brakes, and you could hit the brakes midair by just tilting, you know, your helicopter up and flying in a reverse motion. The momentum wasn't there. You couldn't feel the heaviness of the vehicle. Well, in Battlefield 4, they're making it so that when you're flying forward and you want to turn, people were finding it that they were ramming into buildings more because they needed to kind of feel out this momentum that they were building on this large aircraft, and that you can't just, you know, fly it straight and then take a sharp turn like you almost can do in Battlefield 3. So they're making some slight changes so that flying helicopters, I think the tanks are relatively unchanged, but I think they added more of a momentum factor, so that now that you're getting all these perks of, hey, you could customize your own vehicle, now everything's going to be a little bit more buffed in the vehicle. Well, this might help level it out, the game, a little bit. Also, this environment that they're building plays a bigger factor. So for instance, in the gameplay that they showed at E3, the skyscraper falls. Everything's awesome on how this 30-story building falls down and, you know, everything's destroyed. Well, it creates a cloud of smoke for a good 2-3 minutes. And that could change the game for helicopter pilots, tank drivers that were shooting across the waterway. That makes it big. Now there's this smoke and debris that's everywhere for 2-3 minutes. Now, you could be in the middle of a helicopter fight, this thing happens, now you can't see the other pilot, or the other helicopter. You know, this changes the game, this adds another level to the metagame, which is another great thing. Also, the fact that boats, I mean, right now, boats are easy. It's target practice, really, because they're out in the water, there's no protection. If you start getting hit, there's nowhere to go. Now they're implicating waves as a form of barrier. So, for instance, you know, you'll be on the waves, and when a high wave would come up, you use that to travel, you know, if you get in heavy fire, you travel behind the wave in order to get temporary relief from that. That is going to be challenging and exciting. I think these small things, and there's things that they probably haven't even introduced yet, that will add new levels of challenge to the vehicle play. It's not all about the infantry, you know, it's the vehicles. It play this huge part. Like, for instance, I think the only really thing jets would have is the fact that when your jet's in the air, you couldn't fly through clouds to kind of lose your target or anything like that, or the guy behind you. The only thing you could do is literally fly into the sun, which was a good move. If somebody's behind you, you fly into the sun, they lose you, and then they'd have to guesstimate if you're bending left or right. But I think adding more dynamics to this idea of environment being able to change the game would add to the effect of it. And lastly, I kind of wanted to just refresh on what would be cool, what would be so that just a little bit of add-ons that I think would be cool. When you're playing in Battlefield 3 in the story mode, you get, you have a co-pilot with you in a jet. I think that'd be really neat, so that you'd have a pilot and co-pilot in the jet. So your main pilot controls like the heat seekers and the rocket pods and stuff like that, but then your co-pilot can either give you intel on the ground, give you infrared scans, and scan people and target people, because I know it's hella hard for me in order to spot people while I'm in the jet, or I'm flying up in the air going, hey, where's the heli under me? Spot him for me, so that when I come, when I do my turnaround, that he'll be easy to see, and I can just mow him down on one strafe. So I think adding a co-pilot would be an excellent idea, so that you'd be able to have a little bit more tag team in a jet instead of it just being like a merry-go-round with two jets. I think another player would add to the dynamics of it, and instead of just having this loop-de-loop go around, the second pilot could, or the co-pilot could actually do something and make a change in those dogfights. Another thing is the transport helicopters. And they're all fun, but in the reality of things, they're not the most effective helicopter. And they're not supposed to be. But, I mean, the guns on them on the side, the Gatling guns, are, or the chain guns, are not necessarily accurate. You have to get fairly close in order to mow any targets down. And for the most part, they're not necessarily a game changer. Yeah, I like the fact that they can become a mobile spawn. Excellent idea for that, to buff them up. And you don't want to make a mobile spawn a huge problem. So I kind of understand with that, but the only thing I disagree with is the fact that you have your driver, important, the two gunners, important. Well, maybe one of them not, because he's facing the frickin' landscape in the distance while one gunner is getting all the action. But aside from that, the other two people that are in it are just sitting there with their, they have their guns, but I mean, like, you're moving and you have an assault rifle or a sniper rifle, whatever, and you're highly inaccurate. You're trying to shoot while the driver's moving all over the place. It's like if there was earthquakes all the time in Battlefield 3. It's kind of pointless to try to shoot out of it unless you're RPGing a tank and he's going slow and stuff like that. There's too many variables. I think that they need to add something so that the people in those seats have some sort of job, whether it be an advanced spotting system where they can zoom in on people and infrared and see them and spot them and help out the team. Because being in the transport helicopter, it's a transport helicopter, it's not supposed to do much, but it would add to the game if they could help out the team more. Maybe not give them rockets or give them anything, just something that helps spot, something to help give intel to the whole team, because not everybody's on the same Skype call, not everybody's on team chat, because that thing's just horrible. Or in console, not everybody's in the same party, so you need something for them to do and not just sit there. And I think having them have some sort of spotting or some sort of thing to do, whether give them a freaking Game Boy, something, but have them at least have something, so that way they could be a little bit more of an asset to the team. Well, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please leave a rating, comment, and subscribe. Look forward to next week's episode of Whatchamacallit. My name's Chaz, and as always, stay classy.